First and foremost, thank you everybody for coming. You know, this is awesome to see the kind of participation we've seen in this community. Unfortunately, it's taken some, just a tough year, tough 18 months, 19 months of, in my opinion, insanity to bring us all together, but here we are. A couple things I want to say is, I want to say thank you for taking interest in taking back our schools. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm Joey Gilbert. I am running for governor. But most importantly, this is not a campaign activity. It really isn't. I'm hosting this meeting tonight for really 3 reasons. First and foremost, I'm the dad of an 11-year-old daughter that I can't send to these public schools, nor would I. I'm a local employer, and it's hard to find graduates out of our school systems whose academic and behavioral levels are high enough to hire, truthfully. I'm a lifelong Reno resident in Nevada, and I don't want to see our state's economy and social fabric destroyed. It will be if our broken schools are not fixed. And that's as simple as that, guys. So, our schools are broken and need to be fixed. They're academically dysfunctional, morally broken, socially dangerous, and fiscally incompetent. Now, I want to say this. Before we begin, I want to clarify my rationale. If you don't accept my claims as a starting point, you might as well leave the meeting right now. And that's truly where we are, because we go back and forth with some folks, but if you can't accept those 4 things I just said, academically dysfunctional, morally broken, socially dangerous, and fiscally incompetent. And when I say fiscally incompetent, anybody that's taken a look at what they're doing with these budgets would be just, jaw would hit the floor. $1 billion budget we have up here yearly. Where's all the money? What are they doing with it? So everything I'm going to share is built on those provable premises. Now, how bad are our schools? So this is going to be some stuff that's going to shock you guys. For those of you that don't know, here are the facts. The most accepted national test, the NAEP test, for years, 60 to 85% of our 4th through 8th grade students, depending on race, are at or below the level of functional illiteracy. They do not possess the basic learning skills to live independently. 90% of our 11th through 12th graders that take the ACT exam do not pass it. Those of you, some of you have got, some peers in the room here. If you can imagine 90% of those we went to high school with, or a year or 2 ahead or below us, failed the ACT test, I would have never believed you. Okay? That's how bad we're getting here. And it's been this way for a decade. Superintendents, board members, and teachers of the past 10 years tell us all that the schools are great. Right, everybody? You guys go to some of these meetings, it's like everyone's patting each other on the back. How great for the contribution to this. Great job here, great job there. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. Majority of our students are learning almost nothing. Tens of thousands of worthless diplomas. National rankings, which ranking is considered the best? Quality counts. The most respected annual survey published by the Editorial Projects in Education organized the past 27 years, they've ranked Nevada schools average of 50th, worst in the nation for the past 10 years. What have these terrible Washoe County school districts cost taxpayers over the past 10 years? Over $7 billion spent by 4 incompetent superintendents. Over 30,000 kids have graduated without the quality education they need to make a decent living. These are unarguable facts. Majority of students are learning almost nothing. Our Nevada schools are worst in the nation. Half of our superintendents or board have never publicly acknowledged this. Only excuses and lies. They've never come out and just said, we're doing terrible. We're failing. We've done a horrible job. That's never been the case. They come out, they put on presentations, they give each other awards. It's insane. It really is. It's like the same stuff that we're doing for COVID, but I won't get into that right now. Purpose of tonight's meeting. The first half hour, I'm going to share what my team and I have learned about our schools over the past 9 months. Large amount of research and observation. We have put in the time, guys, and a lot of it's been from all the folks here in the crowd giving us information. Talk to teachers, administrators, previous students about why our schools are failing. We'll be sharing facts and actions that could be taken. These actions would immediately start improving our schools if the community would act on them. Immediately, we'd see a change in our schools. The majority of our time this evening, I'll be opening up the floor to all of you. You won't have to stand in a cold parking lot or an overflow room. You won't have to be timed or scolded for not wearing a mask. We all need to hear your opinion about the action items I'm putting forward, and we want to hear your ideas. Most of all, we want to hear how you think we can organize and put these ideas into action. Each of you should have received a list of the ideas I'm sharing when you came in the room, and if you don't have one, please raise your hand and someone will bring you one. Has everybody got one? Right on. Okay, so we're going to start with our PowerPoint here. Let's see. So, next steps in taking back our schools. It is through our schools that the battle for the future of America will be won or lost. It's the Carnegie Foundation. Okay, so vouchers. The only real solution, only real and lasting solution. My plan, something that's never been tried anywhere in the nation. A fully funded universal voucher for every parent of every school-age child. This one action would start improving public schools almost overnight. Our schools are academically, morally, socially, and fiscally dysfunctional for only one reason. They don't have to compete for customers. Okay? What incentive do they have to do better? Why should they improve? People worry some kids won't get a good education. Very funny. We're last. We're last. What do we have to lose? I say this to people because people are going to say to me, Joey, you're going to try this. What do we have to lose? Last in the nation for a decade. Okay? To get this idea started, we need a committee of 2 to 3 individuals who would start lobbying the legislature. Start hitting these guys. Student issues. Students must attend regularly. Daily absence rate in this county is 40%. How do you teach students that aren't there? Simple question, guys. How do you teach students that aren't there? They're more worried about little Johnny's mask below his nose or anything else than the kids that have been missing. Let me tell you something. It's not just the administrators and teachers. Parents. Parents have to be held accountable. Okay? So excessive absences are against the law in Nevada. Force the law. Next, Nevada law requires tickets, fines, and court appearances for both students and parents and withholding student driver's licenses. I know a lot of kids that probably start going to school more if you took their license. It's funny, but it's true. Okay? So student issues. In Washoe County School District, following these legally required actions, almost none. And that's why the absence problem continues. We're not following up on what we need to follow up on. Student issues. Chronic absence prevents our students from being employment ready. They fail to develop a responsible sense of attendance, punctuality, and behaving appropriately. It's simple stuff, guys. Simple stuff that most of y'all in this room didn't deal with. We had to go to school. All right? There was not an option. We couldn't just skip out. Lobby the state. Pay schools only for students who are present at school. This would be a game changer. Currently, schools receive the same funding amount whether students are present or absent. How's that fair? When chronic absenteeism starts costing the schools their funding, it will stop. Needed, a group that will force this issue with the Washoe County School District and then report to the state about it. Next, voluntary drug testing. Couldn't believe this when I saw it, didn't think it was true. Almost 40% of schools do mandatory drug testing, and it helps. We know of only one school that did it voluntarily, and the school was 100% drug-free for years. So, voluntary drug testing builds student pride in themselves and their school. It gives them a reason to just say no when drugs are offered to them. So it helps them build up the confidence to not be pressured, which I think is important. Next, it reduces crime and violence. It encourages peer-on-peer encouragement to be clean and sober and protects student health. I bet you guys didn't know this, and I don't know if this is in this. How could we implement drug testing? Do you know that 30% plus of our students, when they're in school, are intoxicated, are under the influence? 30% or more daily in Washoe County are under the influence. Again, guys, when I told you we set out to check into some things and to get some information, I was blown away by this. I couldn't believe it. But now I'm starting to see why all this stuff is where it's at. So how could we implement drug testing? Publicly lobby and pressure the superintendent and board until they agree to it. We need testing. Our schools are full of drugs. It's that simple. Improving learning. Now, if there were some kids in here, they'd love this. Do away with homework. Right? And I'll tell you this. Homework is like the declaw on dog's leg. At one time, it might have served a purpose, but not now. Volumes, and again, I didn't believe this when Paul brought this up to me. I said, no way. No way. Volumes of research for years say homework is detrimental. Okay? Teaches kids nothing and makes them hate school. Right? Encourages cheating, causes unnecessary arguments at home, and typically thrown away by teachers after hardly a glance. So what's the point? Right? So I'm going to see some kids smiling. But again, I'm going to make a lot of friends. Two guys, you guys can't vote. Improve learning. Why do schools still pride themselves on how much homework they force kids to do? Plenty of valuable work needs to be done by students at home. Helping clean the house, prepare for meals, reading aloud to your siblings. Yeah, right? See? Okay, this is simple stuff. If you grew up how I grew up with a father who's a Marine, you didn't have a choice in this. All right? Right? It was yes, sir, no, sir. Or cancel your Friday night, bud. So helping clean the house, prepare meals, reading aloud to siblings, working a part-time job, enrichment activities, athletics, music, and the arts. So much other stuff to do besides busy work, guys. So much other stuff to do. Now, here's another thing. Eliminate the credit recovery. Does anybody know what this thing is? This is insane. This is literally insane. Original purpose, students who failed an entire semester class would be allowed to do makeup work at the end of the semester and pass. I have never in my life heard of that. Never. Never. So they allow kids, they don't have to show up, they don't have to turn in assignments, they don't have to pass classes, and they still get passed on to the next class. How is that helping them? How is that helping prepare the community? So, students lost control of what became known as the credit recovery. Students who do not attend class or do work all semester are allowed to do 2 to 5 hours of busy work assignments at the end of a full semester class and receive a C or better. Is that not, why go? What's the point? So, more and more students don't attend class and do no work, and they rely on the credit recovery to get a passing grade. No offense, but I'd probably do the same thing. I'd work. We wonder why 90% of our graduating seniors don't qualify for even the most basic college classes. Okay, improved learning. Community action needed. Demand that credit recovery programs be discontinued. Administrators must stop forcing teachers to pass students who do not work and don't attend. Hey guys, we're going to make this all available for everybody. You take pictures of it, we'll make this entire thing available for everyone. Make 200 hours of paid work experience a graduation requirement. How's that? Over 80% of graduating students have never had a job, any job. I'm not saying but you got to work. You got to have some work. It supports the purpose of mandatory schooling, giving students skills necessary to work and support themselves. Paid employment teaches many life skills our students are lacking in a major way. These kids don't put these phones down. You see them, they walk around, they're masked up staring at a phone for 6 hours a day. 6 hours a day. At the very least, putting that phone down and having to work would at least break up the monotony. Right? At least it would change the pattern, break the, as Tony Robbins call it, snap the pattern. Have them doing something for a few hours a day. And I'm not kidding you, my daughter included. I can't tell you how many times I have to take that phone out of her hand. Of course, she just looks back at me and says, whatever you say, phone boy. She calls me phone boy. Phone boy. That's what happens when you raise strong women, strong daughters. So again, maturity, responsibility, and the ability to take criticism from a supervisor. Have you guys seen this? You try to give constructive criticism to a kid these days, and they look at you like you just murdered them. All right? My God, I worked at a car wash. I had to get a work permit at 13 years old at Winter's Corner Car Wash. 13. All right? These kids need to work. All right? They need to work. They need to put that phone down. I don't care if it was 2 hours a day part-time job. 2 hours. Bag groceries, work at a car wash, work anywhere. But that's the stuff that's got to happen. And over a 4-year period, it wouldn't be hard to rack up 200 hours. Not at all. All right? And with those of us that got, connections in town, it could probably knock it out in a few weekends. But I mean, my point is, these kids have got to do something different. And again, as I said to everybody tonight, it's going to be the whole point of this is we got to try something. At the worst case, what are we going to do? We can't go lower. Can't go any lower. If my ideas are so terrible, what's going to happen? We're going to go lower? No. So next, handling money wisely and dealing with the public. A strong work ethic must be learned. Many states require work experience for graduation and with good results. So this was big. I didn't even know this, but I do remember in college, towards the end of my college career and in law school, they had services. You could actually pay for people to do stuff. And now it's with the internet and Google and everything, we've hit a whole new ballgame. So the cheating epidemic must be stopped. Survey results up to 90% of students are cheating regularly. So again, whether it's homework, whether it's testing, again, what's the point? This is why I'm saying homework, gone, working, part-time jobs, extracurricular activities, arts, anything besides sitting there, copying your buddy's homework. So honor students cheat the most. We have to be able to compete. Really, I thought this was insane. Honor students cheat the most. You want to know what the number one reason is? They have to be able to keep up. They have the pressure. They got to be able to keep up. So they're cheating. Now, cell phones in class, most popular cheating method. Of course. Online companies offering cheating services are growing. Students can buy any kind of help. Homework, quizzes, and tests, $40 to $85. This is again, like I said, we started out just trying to dig in a little bit and find out a little bit about the schools. And I was trying to figure out, originally it was going to be the people's champ, try and help, fix the schools. And as we looked at the underbelly of this thing, I was shocked at what I was finding out. Shocked. There's just as many of you guys are in the audience tonight. Essays, term papers, and research, $100, $200. And they're paying for it. Lack of honesty has made high school transcripts meaningless to colleges. Bigger problems created by out-of-control cheating and lying. Infects and degrades the moral climate of the entire school. Right becomes whatever you can get away with, and wrong becomes only what you get caught doing. I mean, guys, it's unbelievable. 2 ways to stop cheating. Primarily, a school climate that teaches strong moral values and teach students in ways that make cheating almost impossible. Participation. Right? There's all kinds of ways we can get around this, guys. So now, exit exams, you must pass them. State law requires all graduating seniors to pass an exit exam. They do not all pass this exam, and yet they still receive diplomas. The law should be enforced, and the board and superintendent must be pressured until they do. This is happening everywhere. They're not passing, but they're passing. So now this one was insane as well. Improving behavior. So who's heard of this restorative discipline program? You guys know what this is? So restorative discipline approach was adopted by Nevada in an attempt to reduce the growing amount of student misbehavior in schools. Specific goal, reduce the disproportionate suspension expulsion rate of Black and Latino students. What is restorative discipline? Get ready for this. If a student breaks the rules or hurts someone, they are counseled but seldom punished. Counseled. It's an interesting approach for trying to control the antisocial and violent behavior of juveniles. Guys, there's 220,000 physical assaults on our teachers a year. 220,000. That's 1,200 a day. There's teachers in Washoe County my group has met, that are receiving therapy, nerve therapy on their forearms from shielding themselves from punches. Teacher got murdered. There's also a teacher that got knocked unconscious in Pennsylvania. Right? So just one problem. It's been a huge failure, but we keep doing it. We keep doing it. Why? So our schools have become increasingly dangerous and violent, and you see their information packet. Ironically, restorative discipline statistics show that Black and Latino students have suffered the most from this method. It's my whole point where they don't care. They just don't care. Their antisocial behavior has increased. Traditional discipline maintained safe, orderly schools for centuries, and it's still the best method. The district should petition the state to reestablish traditional discipline methods. The two most recent superintendents and the current board president deny the facts and argue that restorative discipline is effective. They really do. I'm talking brain dead type, fuzzed over, holy smokes. Are you looking at me? It's crazy. It really is. It's scary what's happening. Teachers have repeatedly said that it's not. Stop reverse racism. Demand that all races be treated equally. So this is improving race-related issues. Right? All races treated equally. Again, you would think that this is basic stuff, that you wouldn't have to take someone who's running for governor that was originally looking at the schools to come up here and do this. But this is how bad it's gotten. You know, at the end of the day, when we were looking at, like I said, everyone asked me that same question. Joey, how are you going to, we need, more industries in here. It can't just be, casino and mining. How do you get the jobs in here? And what happened was we kept looking, I kept flipping back at the schools. I kept going back to the schools. And I kept saying, holy smokes, man. Like I said earlier, laughing at everybody, what do you say to a company? Come to Nevada, we promise you the least educated workforce? I mean, think about that though. So and again, if you're a big company and you're going to move to a state, what's the first thing you're looking at? Especially if you're trying to bring on employees that have kids. The first thing you're going to look at is how the schools are doing. So how can we compete with all the other states with this? So again, stop the reverse racism, demand that all races be treated equally. Huge academic and behavioral gaps between white and Asian students on one hand and black and Latino students on the other. Many failed efforts by the superintendent and boards to address the gap. Improving the race-related issues continue. For years in all measurable categories. Again, listen, while you are all entitled to your own opinion, you are not entitled to your own facts. And I've been saying this since day one with the COVID, all right? I don't care what your opinion is. This is a fact-based seminar tonight. You don't like it? Get out. Get out. The one thing you're going to learn about Joey Gilbert and what they're going to get boy, are they going to have fun. People say to me, how is he going to communicate effectively with the bureaucracies? Let me tell you something. I'm going to communicate with no problem. They're just not going to like what I say. It's a total difference. Total difference, all right? No problem. Never had a problem in my life communicating. But when they don't like what you're saying, you have a problem. And that's where they get fired. So now, as I just said, for years in all measurable categories, Asian students have had the highest grades and best behavior, followed by whites and Latinos. Blacks having the lowest achievement and worst behavior by far. Race hustlers claim the racial gap is the result of a racist school system that discriminates against blacks. That's their answer. Current board president and the last two superintendents subscribe to the systematic racism theory and have instituted numerous racist policies and practices. Academic and behavioral standards have been lowered, attempting to close the racial gap, but it has only made the situation worse. Again, listen, guys, as I go through this, and I've already faced this last, 18 months, it's sometimes leadership is not the most popular position, all right? Sometimes that's what it's about, is you got to stand up there and face and take the blows and take the criticism because you're doing what's right. You're doing what's best for the kids. So now, lowering standards is highly racist, and it says blacks and Latinos aren't as capable as whites and Asians, and that is not true. Not true. So, schools with equal achievement among all races do three things. Our schools need to implement them immediately. Hold all students to the same standards of work and behavior. Hold all parents accountable for their children's behavior. And stop blaming the lack of achievement and poor behavior on racism. That's it. Okay? Very simple. Now, getting rid of extremist indoctrination. Okay, this is our CRT nonsense, which there will be no part of in a Gilbert administration. No part of. All right? And again, I've got people now, they're coming out, they're shooting beer bottles, and they're saying this. We've been fighting this fight now for 18 months, many of us shoulder to shoulder. Again, this is something that's been happening a long time. So not only it's not going to be enough to make sure it's not being taught, we're going to forbid it. We're going to absolutely forbid it. It'll have no place in our schools. It's not coming back. Period. So, CRT and other racist and anti-white indoctrination, a distorted and false view of past and present America, perverse sex education, and no substantial academic teaching. These situations can all be corrected if the community will demand the following: strict supervision on objectively teaching controversial subjects. All teachers must impartially present both sides of controversial subjects. Simple, all right? Simple. Use unbiased curriculum that is factually accurate. Principals must strictly supervise their teachers to prevent biased indoctrination. Teachers who insist on indoctrinating students with personal politics and philosophies need to be dealt with severely and immediately. And I'll have no problem with that. No problem. So let's see. For some reason, I'm buzzed if I go over there. So we need an education outsider as our next superintendent. And again, people said, Joey, you should do this. I said, absolutely not. I'm absolutely not doing this. But we need to find someone. Again, these career teachers, or whatever they are, career superintendents, it's not working. Let's find someone with a backbone that cares about the kids, that's going to hold people accountable, and get them in. All right? I mean, look what's happened across this country. All right? For the first time in America, we saw doctors ignoring their roles. Okay? We saw teachers not playing their role. So again, we need to think outside the box. So ask any traditional superintendent candidate about the points I've mentioned. They will disagree with almost all of them. They really will. And that's how we have to make these next decisions. Traditional search firm candidates will be the same as the previous failed superintendents. We can't keep doing this. If you're serious about having better schools, go outside the box. Way outside the box. Kind of like putting a former professional fighter and lawyer in as governor. Right? Look at other career fields: tech, business, engineering, ex-military, science. I'd even say healthcare, doctors, anybody that cares about the kids. That's what I'd like to see. Look for proven successful leaders, innovators, people who love children and are not afraid of change. Most of all, look for moral courage and uncompromised principles. I think that is honestly the most important. Numerous school districts have hired alternative candidates with not just good, they're actually great results. And in the studies we've looked at, great results. Now, stop wasting money. This is where I come in. All right, I look at some of these, and I got to tell you guys this right now. Oh my God, please. If I can let Ricky Revilio and some of these guys audit the school district, help me some of the bean counters I got, some of my friends. All right, these guys are whizzes. I can't wait to let some of these guys get in there. I want to audit the school district. I want to audit the county. I want to audit the city of Reno. I want to audit the police department. I want to audit the sheriff's department. I want to audit the legislature. You guys want me to find the money? I will find you the money. I promise you the money is there. All right? That's the problem. All right? Wasting the money. And that, if you guys looked at it, you guys can find a lot of this stuff is publicly available. Go look where this CARES Act money went. If you want to have your jaws hit the floor, go look. Nevada got the second largest amount of coronavirus stimulus relief. Do you guys know that? We have 3.125 million people, give or take. How did we get the second largest amount of that $1.3 trillion from Biden? How did we get it? And where did it go? Raise your hand in this room if you got a check from Sisolak. You did? Hey, no funny business here. All right, I'll send Paul over there. Listen, no one did. That's my point. All these small businesses, all the mom and pops that got shut down, where'd the money go? Where'd it go? Go look at the county. $80, $100 million. And the trick was, I got a couple fraternity brothers. Well, that sells some people out. So I got a couple of friends that work in various positions and throughout the state. I didn't say the C word. Throughout the state. And they actually were told they get to take certain equipment home, do this, do that, because they had to spend the money before the end of December last year to get more money. They had to spend it. What about all these people that couldn't pay their rent? They had people living in their houses with that eviction moratorium, or the businesses that closed down. All right, or how about this? Do you know we spent less money on the distance learning than anything else? Less money on the distance learning. It was given for the kids. Where'd it go? We also spend record low money on the nursing homes. The people that needed it the most didn't get the money. Again, this stuff for me is a businessman, this is where we can really do some amazing stuff because the money is there. We can spend it more wisely. We can spend it better. We can stretch it so much further and have so much better things. It's unbelievable. So over 65% of school districts have privatized to some degree. Examples: transportation, custodial, landscape, maintenance, security, accounting, printing, construction services, and more. Now, districts privatize to save more money and get better quality work. With 6,000 non-teaching employees and a potential savings of 30% on privatized services, the savings could be huge. Do you guys know what 30% of 1 billion is? Think we could do something with that for our kids? 30% of a billion.
300 million.
Yeah. You think we could have fixed the distance learning? We could have given every kid a brand new computer and Wi-Fi. We could have set up study centers throughout. You can't call them schools, I found out. Got in trouble for that. We could have set up study centers and had paid teachers proctoring this entire nonsense thing our bought and paid for scumbag governor did. Okay? This entire time, we could have had to put them in tents with heaters, whatever we needed to do, but we could have every kid with a computer and dozens of teachers walking around. Most of them would have done it for nothing to teach these kids, thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
But nothing was done. They're worried about testing them and masking them.
Yeah.
Now, example, and again, I've got friends in the Washoe County School District Police Department that probably want to shoot me, but here we go. So 3 to 5 million annual costs. Professionally trained officers can earn 25% more than new teachers. 25% more the cops on the school campuses are making more than teachers. And again, this is not a knock at the officers. I just simply say, go work for the real police department. And if you love kids that much, become a teacher. I don't know what to tell you. But again, I'm about the bucks. I'm about saving money. All right? So Washoe County School District has its own highly paid police chief. That guy's gone. Gone. Typical tasks could be done well for less using private security. Again, you guys don't understand this. Did you know that the principal of Wooster High, student threatened to shoot up the school? Literally threatened to shoot up the school. The cops detained him, put him in handcuffs. She came out and said, take the handcuffs off. She took him for a burger across the street, brought him back to school, let him go. Nothing was done. That was her restorative discipline program. Right? That's how she handled it. Yeah. So now, again, the reason I say that is, their cops aren't even allowed to do anything. Why can't we just have regular security there? Right? The handcuffs they put on these guys. So now, what happens to displaced employees? The purpose of schools is to educate the children, not employ adults. Okay? This is so simple. God, this is business 101. I'll fix this in give me 30 minutes. Honest to God, that's where I keep saying to you guys, we've got, again, as Henry Ford said, you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room, you can hire him. I have some of the smartest friends on the planet. And I bring them in there and I say, take a look at this. They're going to look through it. Their jaw's going to hit the floor. All right? We're going to save so much money. We're going to win so much. People are going to be begging me, Joey, please, we can't win so much. All right? Action to take. Demand that a community district committee gets cost estimates for privatizing all Washoe County School District support services. Again, let's form some committees. Let's take a look at this stuff and let's submit it. All right? Let's hold them accountable. What's the best way to see how bad it is in our schools? Here's one for you guys. I'm only laughing because the people I know that applied to try and become a substitute teacher, they wouldn't let them in there. Right? Apply to become a substitute teacher in high school. Did you guys know this? Because of COVID, no experience required. No experience required. So that anybody in this audience could go become a substitute teacher. I'm not kidding you. Like you think one thing you're going to learn about Joey Gilbert is I don't ever pull the punches. Right? I don't need to. You know what? If you don't like me, too bad. I'm not going anywhere. Right? So, no experience required. Could you imagine if the bulk of you in this room went and did a couple days as a substitute teacher, which you would learn? Sutton, I would love to see you as a substitute teacher. Right? You guys know Mark Sutton. Wouldn't that be comedy? Right? And in a good way, because I would love to see what you would see. There isn't a person in this room that I don't think could absolutely go into a school here and do a great job and learn and probably do better than the majority of what's going on there. And let me just say this, because there are some teachers that got mad. Some of y'all were, many guys, when you guys were handing out the flyers, people were handing out flyers at the school district. Well, I got in trouble because people said that on those flyers we were saying all teachers are terrible and all teachers are failing. We didn't say that. I think there's a lot of teachers that do a very good job. They dedicate themselves. They put in their own money. They're making almost next to nothing as it is, right? I think our teachers are underpaid. Okay, I think they're under-resourced. We could go on all day about that. But I could tell you where I could find the money. I could find the money to pay them better. I could find the money to give them better resources if we stop this nonsense. So quick and easy to apply, even subbing for only a few days, and you'd get much information to report. So again, don't tell any of these places that you got this idea from Joey Gilbert's PowerPoint, because they're definitely not going to hire you. But I would absolutely encourage anybody in this room to do it and to just see what you see, because again, just think of the information we get back. So now, real change requires real change. Demand the development of a replicable prototype classroom. Washoe County doesn't even have one class that practices all the advanced transformative practices I've outlined. So let's get a model school. Let's find one school. Every teacher and administrator could observe the prototype and duplicate it at their schools. Our schools can never improve until we have a replicable model to follow. So we're going to find a school, we're going to find a way to get one of these open and do things differently at one school. And we got all kinds of ideas like double-sided mirrors, watch everything. Teachers, no more moral neutrality and silence. The primary reason why our schools have remained in such a dysfunctional mess. 4,000 teachers, with few exceptions, refuse to tell the community the truth about how bad the situation has become. This is the truth, guys. Morally neutral regarding daily abuse and education malpractice that they observe. They support a union that supports the superintendent and refuses to protect the teachers who speak out. That has to stop. It just has to stop. Demand that unannounced campus classroom visits be made available to parents in the community immediately. Immediately. Have you ever thought about it? Why are they shutting you out? You ever thought about that through? What are they trying to do? Well, if they had nothing to hide, why would they do this? Why would you have a problem with letting parents show up to school? I remember school, my parents got to come in whenever they wanted to. I mean, it would have been a little awkward, been a little weird, but I remember them doing it. So again, what's the problem with that? The only way to accurately see what's going on in our schools, board members can't even make unscheduled visits. Do you understand that? Board members can't even make unscheduled visits. That right there should tell you everything. Announced visits are just scripted, rehearsed performances. Whenever they know they're coming again, we've all had this. You know someone's coming, you're going to do something different. Unannounced visits by the community. Superintendents strongly fight unannounced visits, and most board members acquiesce. Excuses. Not interrupting the students. I'm laughing because our students are the worst in the nation. They're the bottom of the barrel. What are you interrupting? What are you interrupting? God, you know what I mean? So we want to be considerate of the teacher. I mean, I can't say this with a straight face. I really can't. It makes me laugh. Nonsense. They're hiding. Like, honestly, any good teacher would have no problem. Any teacher, solid teacher, would have no problem with you popping at any time. None of them. They're hiding something. That's the only reason they would do it. There's no other explanation. All right? It's just this whole thing is crazy to me. So develop a relationship with your district and your school board member. Again, I know it's hard, but we've got to find some of these guys. Best way to educate them about these issues. Board members aren't really against improving schools. They just don't know anything about the critical issues. More interested in protocol than in fighting for better schools for our kids. Now, pass a policy requiring trustee visits and reports at every meeting. At every meeting. Board meetings go years without discussing student learning and or behavior. I mean, I can't believe this. I've been to I've been to a lot of them. Never see them discussing these things. Everything else but this. Giving away awards for this person and that person. And it's honest to God, like I said, I used a term Paul says I can't say here, but it's like a pat on the back session. That's all I can say publicly. Okay, pass a new board policy, a minimum of 2 unannounced visits to different schools each month by every trustee. I think that should be a minimum. Minimum. Board members should also meet with school staff and hear teachers' concerns without site administrators in the room. All right? Hear teachers' concerns without site administrators in the room. I would love to see this. Each board meeting should begin with the board members making brief presentations about their observations and teacher feedback. Okay? Announced school visits by board members are random, superficial, and worthless. 100%. Now, question and comments. So here, we want to hear your comments about what I shared and your ideas about the steps we can take now to fix our schools. And that's it, guys.